In the darkness of the past, humanity's greatest mysteries still wait quietly to be revealed. From the massive megalithic stones hidden in the frozen forests of Siberia, to the astonishing surgical skills and weaponry of our ancestors, and even sacred tablets inscribed with theories about forgotten prehistoric civilizations, all of these challenge our understanding of human history. The mystery of the Tsar skeletons, unveiling secrets after nearly a century. In 1918, against the backdrop of a chaotic Russia, Tsar Nicholas II and his entire family were captured by the Bolsheviks and secretly executed. After carrying out the murders, the perpetrators hurried to dispose of the bodies, hiding them deep in a remote area in an attempt to erase all traces. For decades afterward, the fate of the royal family became one of the greatest mysteries of 20th century history. Countless theories were put forward, strange stories circulated, and hopes persisted that perhaps some members had survived, but no one knew for certain where the truth lay. It was only after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991 that researchers and archaeologists finally had the opportunity to access secret documents and investigate the clandestine burial site deep within an abandoned mine in the Yekaterinburg region. They uncovered skeletons concealed for decades. The process of identifying the remains was meticulous, as experts employed modern DNA analysis techniques, comparing the samples to blood left behind by the Tsar himself during a failed assassination attempt in Japan in 1891. The results were undeniable. These were indeed the remains of Nicholas II, Empress Alexandra, and 3 of their children. However, at that time, the 2 youngest members of the family were still missing. It was not until 2007 that the remains of the last 2 children were discovered, about 6 miles from the original burial site. At last, the entire Romanov family was reunited and laid to rest together in St. Petersburg. This event closed a painful and agonizing chapter in Russia's history, finally putting an end to nearly a century of controversy over the fate of the Romanov dynasty. A historical mystery that seemed destined to remain buried forever was ultimately brought to light thanks to the relentless efforts of scientists and the power of modern technology. The Nazi Eagle. In 2006, the waters off the coast of Uruguay suddenly became the center of attention when private divers, hired by the government, discovered a massive artifact buried deep beneath the sea. It was a bronze statue of an eagle, weighing more than 800 pounds, which had once adorned the stern of the Nazi warship Admiral Graf Spee. This statue was far more than a simple work of art. It stood as a vivid symbol of a turbulent historical era. The Admiral Graf Spee had been a source of terror across the Atlantic in the early days of World War II, as it relentlessly sank numerous Allied merchant ships. Ultimately, after a fierce battle with the British Navy in December 1939, the ship was forced into the mouth of the River Plate and scuttled off the coast of Uruguay to prevent it from falling into enemy hands. For decades, the remains of this warship seemed to be forgotten at the bottom of the sea, until the day the team of divers finally recovered the eagle statue. Almost immediately after it was brought to the surface, the Nazi eagle attracted international attention. It was briefly displayed in the capital city of Montevideo, but soon became the center of heated controversy due to its depiction of the eagle clutching the swastika. This was a symbol inextricably linked to the dark chapter of Nazi Germany. More than just an ancient artifact, the statue evoked painful memories of extremism and war. The German government promptly issued a strong protest against the display or sale of the artifact, citing concerns that it could be exploited for the purposes of glorification or propaganda. According to German regulations, relics bearing Nazi symbols may only appear in the context of tightly controlled research or museum exhibitions. Facing the risk of a diplomatic incident, the Uruguayan court ordered that the statue be sold within 90 days, with the proceeds to be given to the salvage company. The Nazi eagle statue is not simply a block of bronze left over from the past. It stands as a lesson in how the modern world confronts historical memory. Regardless of its ultimate fate, this artifact serves as a reminder of the thin line between preserving memory and remaining vigilant against the values that once brought suffering to humanity. The Burke and Hare murder dolls. In 1836, a group of teenagers searching for rabbits on a hillside near Edinburgh stumbled upon a mystery that would shake the entire city. Hidden inside a small cave on the slope, they discovered 17 tiny coffins, each containing a small doll lying silently with a serene expression. The discovery quickly spread, casting a shadow of unease that would linger in the hearts of locals for generations. At the time, both experts and the public debated endlessly about the true meaning of these dolls and their miniature coffins. Initially, many speculated that they were linked to witchcraft rituals or bizarre children's games. Yet, only a few years earlier, Edinburgh had been rocked by the infamous Burke and Hare murders, two notorious killers who had murdered 17 innocent people to sell their bodies to medical anatomists. For this reason, many came to believe that the 17 dolls represented the 17 unfortunate victims, each coffin serving as a tiny grave for a restless soul. A thorough examination revealed that the dolls were all handcrafted, each with different features and clothing, yet sharing certain eerie similarities. All the dolls had open eyes and blackened feet, lending them an inexplicably chilling presence. The coffins were made first, and then the dolls were forced to fit inside, sometimes even requiring the removal of their arms to squeeze them in. Many dolls showed varying degrees of weathering, indicating that they had been placed in the cave at different times. Today, only 8 of the original dolls remain intact, preserved, and displayed at the National Museum of Scotland. The others have been lost over time, but whenever the story is retold, people still feel a lingering presence, a fragment of the crime's soul, and an enduring mystery woven through the ancient streets of Edinburgh. This discovery stands as a poignant reminder of one of the most chilling crimes in Scottish history, as well as a testament to the lasting obsession with justice and redemption for the lost victims. Whispers in the Abandoned Gold Mine. A man set out alone to explore a gold mine in Australia that had lain abandoned for 150 years. As he cautiously made his way down into the darkness, he turned on his camera to record the entire journey, hoping to discover something remarkable. From the very first moments, the air inside the mine felt heavy and cold, and every corner was coated in a layer of dust from ages past, making the place even more mysterious. As he ventured deeper underground, a strange phenomenon began to occur. With every step he took, mysterious whispers echoed through the darkness, causing his heart to skip a beat. The sound seemed to come from another world, sometimes no more than a faint murmur, other times as clear as if someone was speaking right behind him. What was most striking was that each time he stopped, all the sound ceased and an absolute silence took over the space. But the moment he moved again, the whispers returned, growing even stronger than before. Confronted by this strange occurrence, the explorer grew uneasy and anxious. He kept turning around, searching for anything that could be making those sounds. At times, he wondered if it was only the wind threading its way through the cold rock walls, or perhaps animals hiding in the shadows. But the feeling of unease never left him, because the whispers carried a strangely human quality, as if somehow connected to the stories of miners who had lost their lives here decades ago. The tale of the whispers in the abandoned gold mine not only left its witness deeply unsettled, but also instilled a lingering sense of curiosity and fear in anyone who heard it. Perhaps the sounds were caused by the wind or by animals, or perhaps they were the spirits of miners still unable to find peace. Whatever the explanation may be, this enduring mystery has turned the mine into a place of legend, a testament to the unsolved stories that lie hidden beneath the Australian earth. Theories about the miracles of Jesus. Throughout the history of Christianity, the miracles of Jesus have always captivated the imagination and faith of millions across centuries. One of the most famous miracles, recorded early in the Bible, is the story of Jesus turning water into wine at the wedding feast in Cana. For generations, this account has stood as evidence of supernatural power, a sign that marked the beginning of many other miracles Jesus would perform during his ministry. Yet, behind the veil of legend, some modern researchers have proposed entirely different theories, challenging the traditional perspective on these mysterious events. In ancient Alexandria, Egypt, during the very era of Jesus, there was a renowned inventor named Hero. He is considered one of the first to create automatic machines, marvelous devices that operated using sophisticated mechanical principles. Among Hero's inventions were special vessels, often called magic jugs. With a few hidden chambers and a secret network of pipes, These vessels could allow someone to pour out water and then, just as suddenly, pour out wine, without anyone realizing the clever trick inside. The whole process appeared smooth and full of mystery, making anyone who witnessed it believe they had just seen a miracle. Some scholars argue that Jesus' first miracle, turning water into wine, may have been performed in front of a crowd using a carefully prepared trick, based on the technology perfected by Hero and his contemporaries. If this theory holds true, the miracles are not merely supernatural feats, but rather clever combinations of technical knowledge and the art of creating spiritual wonder within the community. The story of these water-to-wine vessels not only stirs debate about the authenticity of miracles, but also opens a new window into the historical and technological context of the ancient world. It suggests that many seemingly mystical phenomena might be explained by human ingenuity and knowledge, while raising the question, how blurred can the line become between faith and scientific truth in the cultural memory of humanity? The miracles of Jesus continue to intrigue us about the true nature of wonders and the subtle role technology may have played in the religious legends of the past. The ancient Provadia mask. At an ancient salt mining center in Bulgaria, archaeologists discovered a unique prehistoric mask with an exceptionally strange appearance. The mask is mouthless, with large, dark eyes and sharp features that remind many people of depictions of extraterrestrials. Unlike most ancient artifacts, the Provadia mask exudes an aura of mystery at first glance, as if it carries a message that transcends time, a message that modern humans have yet to decode. Experts have dated the mask to the 4th or 5th millennium BC, meaning it existed at least 1,000 years before the rise of Greek civilization. This finding suggests that Provadia was once one of the oldest settlement and salt production centers in Europe, where people had developed early construction techniques, mineral extraction, and trade networks. Additionally, the ancient salt pits, fortifications, and remnants of old architecture in the area add to its archaeological significance. Despite careful analysis, the mask remains shrouded in unanswered questions. Archaeologists believe it may have served as a ceremonial object or a symbol of power and status in ancient society. Some theories propose that the mask represented a sun worship cult or deities venerated by the people of Provadia. The absence of a mouth also raises questions. Was it an intentional artistic choice, or does it convey a sacred message that later generations have yet to fully understand? To this day, the secret of the Provadia mask remains as intact as it was when first unearthed. It is not only a relic of a vanished society, but also an open invitation to all who are passionate about archaeology and exploration, urging them to continue unraveling the hidden mysteries within the ever-flowing currents of human history. Roman coffins with Celtic-style decoration. During an excavation at a small cemetery in England, archaeologists uncovered 2 ancient lead coffins, adorned with distinctive decorative patterns. Each coffin was carved with scallop shell motifs, neatly framed within triangles, a design that evokes age-old spiritual symbols. Upon closer examination, researchers realized that these motifs were more than mere artistic flourishes. They were messages reflecting the beliefs and customs of the Roman and Celtic cultures that once blended together on this land. In Roman tradition, the image of the scallop shell symbolized the soul's journey to the afterlife, a representation of crossing the boundary between life and death. Meanwhile, the Celts viewed the shell as a sign of fertility, vitality, and rebirth. The harmonious combination of these 2 perspectives reveals a historical era in which local people gradually adopted Roman customs, yet continued to retain unique elements of their own beliefs and funeral practices. The 2 coffins were crafted from lead, a costly and rare material at the time. This indicates that those buried within belonged to the upper class or held special positions in society. Alongside the coffins, archaeologists also found valuable grave goods such as jewelry, personal belongings, and fragments of wood from the original outer coffins, which had decayed over time. This discovery not only helps scientists better understand the Romanization process of Celtic tribes, but also opens new avenues for research into burial customs and ancient European concepts of death. The motifs on the coffin stand as silent testimonies to a period when 2 seemingly opposing worlds could merge, creating a rich cultural legacy that endures through the centuries. The mummified monster in the Siberian diamond mine. In the frozen lands at the Udakni diamond mine, workers unexpectedly discovered a strange creature that had been preserved almost perfectly beneath the permafrost. The remains of this monster drew much curiosity because of its small body but unusually large claws and thick, dense fur, giving it an appearance that seemed more like a creature from legend than from reality. As soon as it was brought to the surface, rumors quickly spread throughout the region about a bizarre animal that might have survived for thousands of years. Some people believe that this creature could have been a prehistoric animal, or perhaps even the result of underground nuclear tests that had taken place at the mine in 1974. Many theories emerged, ranging from a mutant beast created by radiation to an unknown creature never before recorded in modern science. The sense of confusion only grew as people recalled that Siberia's harsh, icy environment could preserve the remains of ancient creatures for thousands of years without decay. However, when experts conducted thorough examinations, analysis showed that the mysterious monster was, in fact, the perfectly mummified body of a small animal from the weasel or marten family. Its characteristic shape, with sharp teeth and long claws, helped zoologists identify it as a marten that had likely lived not long ago. Although the possibility of radioactive mutation was ruled out, the scientific community still valued this discovery for demonstrating the remarkable preservation abilities of Siberia's permafrost when it comes to small animals. In the end, the body of this monster was transferred to the research center in Yakutsk for further analysis and safekeeping, carrying with it the story of a discovery that is both strange and a reminder of the many mysteries still hidden beneath Siberia's frozen ground, a place where sometimes just a thin layer of ice is enough to preserve the fantastic memories of ages long past. The cannibal tribe of Mexico. In ancient caves deep within the Durango Mountains, Mexican anthropologists discovered evidence of a strange ritual performed by the Jaime tribe, which existed around 600 years ago. They found numerous human remains bearing unmistakable signs that this tribe once practiced ritualistic cannibalism. For the Jaime, this act was more than just a tradition. It was an important spiritual ceremony. They believed that by consuming the flesh of members from within their own community, especially the head and hands, they could absorb the spirit of the deceased in hopes of securing abundant harvests and safeguarding the survival of the entire tribe. Analysis showed that up to 80% of the human bones discovered bore cut marks and signs of having been cooked. This indicates that the preparation and consumption of human flesh was a regular ritual, not merely a one-time event. Notably, those who were eaten were all members of the Jaime tribe, not enemies or outsiders. This custom reflects their deep belief in the power of the spirit and the bonds within their community. The traces left behind in the earth reveal not only an unsettling ancient ritual, but also the way the Jaime tribe confronted the hardships of nature, relying on faith and spiritual practices that had been preserved through many generations. Ancient skull surgery in Peru. In a museum in Oklahoma, among a collection of ancient skeletal artifacts, there is a skull that causes anyone who sees it to pause and ponder the mysteries of early medicine. It is the skull of an ancient Peruvian, featuring an unusually elongated shape and bearing evidence of a surgical procedure that astonishes even modern doctors. Over 2,000 years ago, a warrior with this distinctively long skull suffered a severe head injury, a fracture so large that it seemed impossible for anyone to survive. And yet, a miracle took place. The ancient healer not only knew how to open the skull, but also used a thin sheet of metal to stabilize the broken bone. This metal plate was placed precisely over the damaged area, like a protective band securing the cracked skull, allowing the fragments to knit back together. The clearest evidence is the scar tissue that formed around the edges of the plate, proving that the patient not only survived the operation, but had time to recover. This event raises a profound question. How could the ancient Peruvians perform such a complex surgery at a time when much of the world was still in the dark ages of primitive medicine? The strangeness does not end there. The skull itself is elongated in an unusual way, similar to the mysterious skulls found not only in Peru, but also in Europe, Russia, and many other places around the world. Scientists remain divided. Some anthropologists believe this shape was the result of deliberate head binding from childhood, meant to create an elongated skull as a sign of power and social status. Others believe that the elongated skulls are the remnants of an ancient hybridization program between Earth humans and an extraterrestrial species. It is possible, they say, that people in the distant past encountered visitors from the stars, and that noble classes and royalty tried to imitate the elongated skulls as a way to assert their own superhuman lineage. The appearance of such skulls across many different cultures only deepens the mystery of this connection. Whatever the true cause may be, the skull with its metal plate remains a remarkable testament to the ingenuity, courage, and advanced intelligence of ancient people. It not only baffles archaeologists, but also fuels ongoing debates about ancient medical abilities, the origins of elongated skulls, and the countless mysteries that human civilization has been trying to solve for thousands of years. The book bound in human skin. Within the rare collection of the Boston Library, there is a book that sends a chill down the spine of anyone who learns its origin. This is the memoir of James Allen, a notorious American criminal from the 19th century. Before dying of tuberculosis in prison, James Allen himself requested that the warden record the entire story of his life, from his earliest days of going astray to the price he ultimately paid for his criminal acts. However, what made this memoir famous throughout America was not just its content, but the way it was completed after Allen's death. James Allen made the unusual request that the skin from his own back be used to bind the book about his life. After his death, doctors removed a section of his back skin, treated it carefully, and sent it to a bookbinder. The result was a memoir bound in real human skin, with a Latin inscription on the cover to verify its extraordinary origin. Today, the book is preserved at the Boston Library, standing as both a unique and unsettling testament to the practice of binding books in human skin, a custom that first appeared during the French Revolution. The story of James Allen and his memoir bound in human hide is not only a chilling relic of a dark era, but also a reflection of the strange psychological beliefs about immortality, atonement, and personal legacy throughout human history. Discovery of Troy and the Trojan horse. Under the sunlight of what is now modern Turkey, archaeologists made a discovery that shocked the world when they began excavations at the hills of Hisarlik, the place believed to be the site of the legendary city of Troy. In the layers of ancient earth, they unexpectedly found a massive wooden structure, with dozens of unusual planks arranged in a strange shape. Each wooden plank measured nearly 15 meters long, creating a construction that was far larger and more unusual than anyone could have imagined appearing here. After performing radiocarbon dating, the research team determined that the age of these planks belonged to the 12th or 11th century BC. This period coincides in a remarkable way with the time of the Trojan War in legend. Before this discovery was announced, most historians regarded the story of the Trojan horse as nothing more than a symbol or a metaphor described by Virgil in the epic Aeneid, rather than a real, physical object. However, the existence of this wooden structure has forced the scientific community to reconsider. Moreover, the shape and the way the wooden planks are joined together are astonishingly consistent with what ancient authors once described, suggesting that this may truly be the actual remains of the famous horse that helped decide the fate of Troy. Alongside this, the archaeological team also discovered a mysterious golden tablet lying near the wooden remains. What is particularly remarkable is that on this tablet are inscriptions in ancient Greek, with content that matches exactly what is mentioned in the epic Post-America. For their homecoming, the Greeks dedicate this offering to Athena. The coincidence between this archaeological artifact and the lines of the ancient epic makes the theory of the real existence of the Trojan horse more convincing than ever. These discoveries have not only brought a major turning point for archaeology, but also opened a new chapter in decoding the ancient Greek myths. What was once just a legend told and retold through generations is now being gradually revealed under the light of modern archaeology. The Trojan horse and the ancient city of Troy are now coming to light, bringing viewers closer to the mysteries that have been buried for thousands of years. The haunted Skinflint gold mine. In North Carolina in the early 19th century, people often retold the haunting story of Skinflint McIntosh's gold mine. This mine owner was infamous for his greed and was always willing to overlook safety in pursuit of profit. When miner Joe McGee took a job at the mine, He asked Skinflint to provide insurance for his wife in case he met with an accident. The owner agreed, even promising to pay double the amount. One day, Joe vanished without a trace. His family and friends searched the mine, but they found nothing unusual. There was no sign of a cave-in, nor any evidence that Joe had run away. Joe's wife went to Skinflint and demanded the insurance money, but the mine owner adamantly denied responsibility, insisting that Joe had simply left on his own. It seemed as if the matter had reached a dead end until one of Joe's closest friends had a dream in which Joe's ghost returned to deliver a message. In the dream, Joe explained that he had died in a cave-in caused by a weak support beam and revealed exactly where his body lay, buried deep beneath the earth in the mine. The next morning, this friend led the others to the spot shown in the dream, and in the end, they found Joe's remains exactly where he had described. With the truth now undeniable, Skinflint was forced to pay Joe's wife the full amount he had promised. From that point on, people in the area believed that the Skinflint gold mine would forever be haunted by a restless spirit. At night, many claimed they heard the sound of weeping rising from deep underground, a warning to anyone who dared to trade human life for money. The mass grave of the Killing Field in Zimbabwe. In a remote region of Zimbabwe, archaeologists and local authorities uncovered a haunting scene. More than 600 human remains buried deep within an abandoned gold mine. These skeletons were mixed together beneath the earth, with no individual graves or any sign that they had ever been properly laid to rest. As experts began their excavation, they discovered numerous indications that most of these people had died within the last 30 years, rather than being victims of some distant upheaval in ancient times. Almost immediately, this discovery sent shockwaves through Zimbabwean society. Many people argued that this was clear evidence of bloody purges and political violence during some of the nation's most turbulent periods. Scientists noted that the bones had not fully decomposed. Many bodies still had hair and fragments of clothing intact, showing that they had not been underground as long as many had once believed. The lingering odor of death hung in the air, making the atmosphere around the burial pit all the more somber. Since the mass grave was uncovered, debate over Zimbabwe's political history and human rights record has flared up again. Some believe that this is the result of government-led crackdowns in the past, designed to eliminate opposition or dissent. Others argue that the incident is being used as a political weapon in the ongoing struggle for power. Whatever the true cause may be, the existence of this mass grave stands as a painful reminder of the crimes that have taken place on this land. Beyond its historical significance, this discovery also raises difficult questions about human rights, justice, and the responsibility of modern society to confront and address the wounds of the past. The Killing Field mass grave is not only the final resting place for hundreds of lost lives, but it also serves as a stark reminder to the world of the importance of compassion and transparency in the history of humankind. The Jigsaw Puzzle Mummies of Scotland. On the remote islands of Scotland, archaeologists uncovered a mystery that sent shockwaves through the research community. The very first mummies ever found on British soil did not belong to a single individual. Instead, each of these mummies was assembled from parts of several different people, much like a real-life Frankenstein creation. During excavation, experts discovered that the skull, pelvis, and limbs of each mummy did not match in age or gender, meaning they had once belonged to several separate individuals. These unusual mummies have led scientists to develop bold new theories about the spiritual life of ancient Scots. Many believe that combining body parts from different ancestors to create a living puzzle was a ritual of special significance. These mummies may have been used as offerings in major ceremonies, where the local people prayed for protection or guidance from the spirit world. They believe that joining together generations in a single physical form would help maintain a sacred bond between members of the tribe and their departed ancestors. For archaeologists, the jigsaw puzzle mummies are not just a technical marvel but also clear evidence of the unique culture and beliefs of these ancient communities. Using body parts from different people to create a complete form reveals how people in the past viewed death, the connections between generations, and the relationship between the visible and invisible worlds. To this day, the puzzle mummies remain a mystery with no clear explanation, but their very existence has opened a new perspective on the spiritual beliefs and rituals of ancient people from the misty legendary land of Scotland. The Sorcerer's Curse Tablet, the mystery of the 1,700-year-old artifact in Jerusalem. In the ancient city of Jerusalem, archaeologists uncovered a strange artifact buried deep beneath the ruins of an old Roman villa. It was a curse tablet dating back around 1,700 years, carrying with it a story that is both mysterious and a reflection of the hidden corners of ancient society. This tablet was written by a woman named Scylla, whose purpose was to ask the gods to punish a man named Lennis in a legal dispute. What makes this tablet unique is that it does not simply appeal to a single religion, but instead combines elements of several different faiths and magical traditions. In her curse, Scylla invoked 6 deities from 4 different religions, including Greek gods, a Babylonian god, and a deity from the Gnostic sect, which was loosely connected to early Christianity. She even used magical words with Hebrew origins, demonstrating her desire to make her curse as effective as possible. The content of the tablet reveals a wish to silence her opponent and make him completely submit to her will. Scylla pleaded with the gods to ensure that Lennis could not oppose her and would be forced to fall under her control. While we do not know whether this curse was ever effective, the tablet still stands as clear evidence of the ancient belief in magic and supernatural power. This discovery not only reveals something about the complex spiritual life of Roman-era Jerusalem, but also shows how people have always sought to control their fate, even if it meant turning to mysterious forces. The cursed tablet is proof of the intersection of cultures, religions, and beliefs, factors that have all played a part in shaping the long and storied history of this city. The cannibal crew of Franklin. In 1845, 2 ships, the HMS Terror and HMS Erebus, under the command of Sir John Franklin, left England to search for the Northwest Passage through the Arctic. However, the journey quickly became a nightmare when both ships became trapped in eternal ice, completely isolated in a barren and lifeless wilderness. For years, no one knew what had really happened to the 129 crew members. They vanished without a trace, and the Franklin story became one of the greatest mysteries in maritime history. It was not until many decades later that expeditions and archaeologists began to uncover the grim truth beneath the thick Arctic ice. Human remains were found scattered across the landscape, with deep cut marks on the bones, clear evidence of dismemberment and cooking. This was undeniable proof of a desperate ritual, cannibalism as a means of survival. Further analysis showed that the crew had even tried to extract bone marrow, indicating they suffered the most extreme hunger and cold imaginable. This discovery shocked the world, opening a dark new chapter in the story of the Franklin expedition. It was not only a tale of the Arctic's brutal and destructive power, but also a story about the human instinct to survive when pushed to the absolute edge of despair. The fact that the crew had to resort to cannibalism stands as evidence of a tragedy far beyond imagination, forcing humanity to confront difficult moral questions. If you were in that situation, what would you do to survive? The Franklin expedition will forever remind future generations of the limits of human endurance in the face of a harsh and unforgiving nature, and of how fragile morality can become when survival is all that remains. Deadly weapons of ancient Australian Aboriginal people. Amid the wild and unforgiving landscape of ancient Australia, the Aboriginal people developed weapons with lethal power that would make anyone think twice before challenging them. These weapons may have looked simple on the outside, but hidden within was an incredible sophistication in design and a deep understanding of biology and physics, reflecting both the intelligence and practicality of the Aboriginal craftspeople. One of the most famous of these weapons was the cod, a tool that might appear to be just an ordinary stone club, but could quickly become a nightmare on the battlefield. The cod was made from a sturdy wooden handle with a carefully sharpened stone blade attached to one end. When placed in the hands of an Aboriginal warrior, the cod not only maximized the strength of the arm, but also took advantage of the force generated from the wrist and elbow to deliver blows of extraordinary power. Each swing of the cod channeled the strength of the entire body down into the stone blade, producing strikes that could end a fight in a single instant. But that's not all. Alongside the cod was the lingal, a weapon resembling an elongated boomerang, designed for both combat and punishment within the community. Made entirely of wood, The lingal's unique curved shape allowed it to move swiftly through the air and make the most of every swing. The Aboriginal people calculated every aspect so that each strike with the lingal drew on the strength from the shoulder, elbow, and wrist, resulting in wounds that could be devastating. While not as sharp as a knife or sword, the lingal was still capable of taking down an opponent with a single well-aimed blow. These weapons were more than just tools of war. The cod and lingal also served as symbols of tribal law. In ancient Aboriginal society, anyone accused of a crime or breaking tribal rules had to undergo a special ritual known as the trial by ordeal. The accused would hold a shield and face a series of attacks using the cod, lingal, or other weapons from their fellow tribesmen. Only those with enough courage, strength, and skill could survive this challenge. It was not only a form of punishment, but also a way for the community to determine innocence or the right to forgiveness. The weapons of the Aboriginal Australians are a testament not only to human creativity under harsh conditions, but also to the development of combat thinking and understanding of the body and physics dating back tens of thousands of years. No matter how many generations have passed, the power and significance of the cod and lingal remain, standing as an inseparable part of Aboriginal culture and history. The Maya ritual sweat bath. In the land of Guatemala, archaeologists have uncovered one of the most unique spiritual sites of the ancient Maya civilization, a steam bath built thousands of years ago. This structure was far more than just a piece of architecture. It held within it many secrets about the beliefs and spiritual life of the ancient Maya. As researchers ventured deeper into this area, they found human skeletons alongside offerings buried right inside the bathhouse, revealing the important role this place once played. To the Maya, the ritual sweat bath was not simply a place to cleanse the body. It was believed to be the dwelling of a goddess, the protective spirit of childbirth and human rebirth. Ancient Maya women would come here to perform birthing ceremonies or to pray for their family's protection. On the outside of the bathhouse, there were carvings of the goddess in the form of a toad, a powerful symbol of fertility and transformation. A sacred atmosphere surrounded every activity that took place within this bathhouse. From the human remains mixed with ritual objects, archaeologists saw that every ceremony performed here was connected to the hope of spiritual purification, the wish for new life, or the desire to receive blessings from the gods. For centuries, the Maya ritual sweat bath was a place where people and the spirit world came together, leaving a deep mark on ancient beliefs and highlighting the power of faith within the Maya community. Tommyknockers in the mine. Deep within the dark, shadowy mines, places where sunlight never reaches, miners have long whispered to each other about a strange legend that has endured for centuries. The story of the Tommyknockers. These mysterious beings are described as little men dressed like miners, with perpetually frowning faces and quiet, stealthy movements. People believe that Tommyknockers are more than ordinary ghosts. They are the spirits of miners who lost their lives in cave-ins long ago, now return to guard the places that once served as their final resting place. Old-time miners said that whenever they heard strange knocking sounds echoing from deep within the rock, it was a sign that something bad was about to happen. The knocking might be soft, like someone gently tapping on the walls, or loud and sudden enough to startle everyone underground. Some claimed that ignoring these warnings could lead to disaster, and there were stories of cave-ins and accidents that followed those eerie, unexplained sounds. But Tommyknockers weren't always there to help. Sometimes, they were mischievous, playing tricks on the living miners. They might hide tools, spill lunch pails, or tap lightly on someone's hard hat just to make them feel watched. A few miners even reported seeing strange, flickering lights in the tunnels or a thin mist suddenly appearing and then vanishing without a trace. These unexplained occurrences only made the atmosphere in the mine heavier and more tense. Then, one day, Pete vanished without a single clue, leaving a chill of fear that crept into the heart of every miner working deep underground. Maybe with modern science, the Tommyknocker legend is just a way miners use to explain strange noises or that constant feeling of unease in the cold darkness. But whether it's superstition or something more, many people still choose to respect the mysterious signs in the mine, because no one wants to risk their luck on that thin edge between life and death. The Ark of the Covenant? For thousands of years, The Ark of the Covenant has remained one of the greatest mysteries in the history of religion and human civilization. Described in the Bible as a sacred object containing the power of God, the Ark has long been seen as a spiritual symbol. Yet, many modern researchers believe it may have been a technological device far beyond the era of Moses. In particular, renowned archaeologist Graham Hancock has put forward a controversial theory that the Ark of the Covenant was actually a kind of weapon containing radioactive material once used by Moses to change the course of history. According to Hancock's hypothesis, the mystery begins with an event not found in mainstream biblical texts. Moses is said to have discovered fragments of meteorites carrying highly radioactive material atop Mount Sinai. Rather than seeing this simply as a gift from the divine, Moses, drawing on secret knowledge he acquired during his years in ancient Egypt, knew how to harness the power of this dangerous material. He created a special device capable of emitting deadly energy, concealed it inside the ark, and told the people of Israel that it was the container for the stone tablets of the Ten Commandments. From then on, the Ark of the Covenant became a mysterious weapon, used at critical moments as a tool for punishment or defense against enemies. Some legends claim that only those chosen could touch the ark without harm, while intruders would be burned or struck down by an inexplicable force. If Hancock's theory is correct, the Ark of the Covenant would have been history's first weapon of mass destruction, allowing Moses and the Israelites to establish absolute power on their journey to the Promised Land. This idea has led many researchers to dig deeper into the true origins of the Ark. Some believe that Moses' knowledge of physics, chemistry, and technology came not only from Egyptian civilization, but could even be the result of contact with beings from beyond Earth. They suggest that the Ark of the Covenant contained technology not belonging to humanity at that time, possibly a legacy from another civilization outside our world. To this day, the location of the Ark remains an unsolved mystery. But for thousands of years, stories of its power and might have continued to fascinate explorers, scholars, and believers in the supernatural. Could this truly be the remnant of some ancient technology? A mystery that lies beyond ordinary human understanding, or simply a legend woven over the centuries? Whatever the answer, the Ark of the Covenant remains an endless subject for anyone drawn to mysteries that reach beyond the boundaries of human history. Bicycle Pete of Sterling Hill Mine. If you ever find yourself in Sterling Hill, a small town nestled among the deep green forests of New Jersey, you're bound to hear the story of Bicycle Pete, a legend that has sent chills down the spines of generations of residents and miners here. Sterling Hill is famous for its deep, winding mine shafts, places where dozens of lives have been lost to the darkness and silence below. But no story is more haunting than that of Pete, a young boy nicknamed Bicycle Pete because no one ever saw him without his old, worn-out bicycle. After the mine closed in 1986, Pete was still seen around town, tirelessly pedaling his bike along the rocky roads. The locals grew used to his small figure circling the town, always accompanied by the familiar rattling of his old bicycle. Then, one day, Pete suddenly vanished without a trace. People searched everywhere, but it was hopeless, until Pete's bicycle was found, abandoned in a dark corner deep inside the Sterling Hill mine. Pete himself was never seen again. After that, ghostly tales began to spread throughout the old mine. Some swore they had seen the shadowy figure of a boy near the mine's entrance at dusk, and others claimed to hear the sound of bicycle wheels rolling over gravel, even when no one was there. A few brave souls spoke of a bone-chilling cold creeping down their spine whenever they ventured near the spot where Pete's bicycle was found, as if someone was watching their every move from the thick darkness. Locals began to believe that Pete's spirit still lingered somewhere in the maze-like passages of Sterling Hill Mine. Some legends claim that Pete was lured deep underground by dark forces, never to return. Others say that Pete now tries to lure strangers into the mine, quietly drawing them down into the eternal darkness from which there is no escape. Even though modern science can't explain every strange phenomenon beneath the earth, the story of Bicycle Pete lives on in the memory of Sterling Hill. It is not just a reminder of the painful past of the mines, but also a cautionary tale, so that anyone who sets foot here knows that sometimes some mysteries are better left undisturbed. Ancient prehistoric weapons and tools, An impressive archaeological discovery has completely changed the way we look at the creativity of prehistoric humans. Researchers have unearthed a throwing stick that is as much as 300,000 years old, crafted and used by Neanderthals. What might seem like a simple object actually reveals fascinating details about the development of weapons and the inventive minds of our ancestors. The throwing stick was not just a random piece of wood picked up from the forest. It was the result of careful observation and skilled craftsmanship. The makers selected the right type of wood and calculated its length, weight, and shape so that, when thrown, it would spin through the air and deliver enough force and accuracy to bring down prey like hares or water birds. The marks from shaping and the aerodynamic design on the stick show that this was a specialized tool, made with a clear purpose, not by accident. This proves that even in the earliest days, Neanderthals knew how to apply technical thinking in making weapons, laying the groundwork for the development of more complex weapons such as spears, bows and arrows, and eventually the sophisticated war tools of civilized societies. Being able to invent a tool that was both accessible and effective not only helped them survive, but also demonstrated their ability to observe, learn from their surroundings, and put humanity on a path far beyond that of other animals. The discovery of this ancient throwing stick not only helps us understand more about the adaptability and creativity of prehistoric people, but also stands as clear evidence of humanity's relentless evolution in thought and technology, beginning with the very first steps that were both instinctive and remarkably clever. The mysterious Kilo civilization. In recent years, the Tamil Nadu region of southern India has become the focal point of large-scale archaeological excavations. Here, scientists have continuously uncovered ancient sites revealing traces of a mysterious civilization that flourished around 2,600 years ago. As layers of earth and stone are peeled away, a wealth of artifacts has come to light. Metal tools, pottery, weaving implements, brick molds, and even fragments of tablets inscribed with ancient writing. These artifacts show that the people of Kilo practiced agriculture and animal husbandry from an early period and also possessed remarkable craftsmanship. The ancient inhabitants here were able to produce pottery, weave textiles, and build with fired bricks, clear signs of an organized society with specialized labor. Most notably, the inscribed tablets and ancient symbols found on many objects indicate that they developed their own writing system early on, a rare achievement for this region at that time. In addition, within the burial sites of old villages, archaeologists have found weapons, jewelry, and even intricately decorated items made of precious metals. Some researchers believe that the Kilo civilization may have had connections with the famous Harappan civilization of the Indus Valley, based on similarities in techniques, pottery styles, and even their writing. Yet, despite hundreds of artifacts and a wealth of archaeological evidence, the biggest questions about the origins and eventual disappearance of this civilization remain unanswered. The Kilo script has yet to be fully deciphered, leaving the secrets of their religion, beliefs, and spiritual life lost in the mists of time. Archaeologists believe that with each new excavation, they come closer to shedding light on the history of a once thriving culture that vanished mysteriously from the flow of human history. Severed heads on stakes in Sweden. Among the most chilling archaeological discoveries in Europe, the story of human heads found mounted on wooden stakes at the bottom of an ancient lake in Sweden has completely changed scientists' understanding of our hunter-gatherer ancestors. At a site that was once a lake some 8,000 years ago, archaeologists uncovered human skulls showing rare and haunting evidence of being pierced by wooden stakes. Most of these skulls belonged to adults and showed signs of heavy blows to the head before death, although these injuries were not severe enough to have killed them instantly. After careful examination, experts found that 3 of the skulls still contained pieces of wood, clearly showing that they had once been fixed onto stakes and embedded in the lake bed. Alongside the skulls, researchers also unearthed bone tools, deer antler implements, animal bones, and fragments of other human remains. All of these artifacts were buried in the sediment of the now dry lake bed, holding secrets of a macabre ritual that existed in the earliest days of human society. Archaeologists believe that mounting human heads on stakes was not just an act of violence, but also reflected a deep spiritual belief among the ancient people of Northern Europe. It is possible these heads were part of rituals meant to drive away evil spirits, honor the dead, or even serve as a warning to enemies and a way to assert tribal power. Notably, before this discovery was made public, historians believed that the practice of displaying human heads on stakes appeared much later, perhaps not until the Middle Ages. However, the archaeological evidence from Sweden proves that this grim custom existed as far back as the time of the earliest hunter-gatherer groups. The human heads on stakes, set in the middle of an ancient lake, have become a symbol of mysterious rituals and a reminder of a wild past that modern people are only beginning to understand. When the morning mist drifts across what was once a lake, many still wonder whether the spirits of those ancient people linger there, guarding the secrets of a world filled with shadows and beliefs that defy explanation. Neanderthal cannibalism in Belgium. In the cold caves of the Ardennes region of Belgium, archaeologists have uncovered a dark and haunting chapter in the history of the Neanderthals. What was found at the Goyet cave was not only fragments of human bones, but also unmistakable evidence of a harsh custom: cannibalism. When analyzing the bones of 6 Neanderthal individuals, including infants, children, and adults, scientists discovered clear traces of cutting, splitting, and crushing. Not only that, but the bones also bore sharp cut marks and large cavities that had been broken open to extract the marrow, which was considered a precious source of nutrition during times of food scarcity. Some bones were even fashioned into tools, showing that Neanderthals not only consumed the flesh, but also used other parts of the body to create implements or weapons. This evidence is described as unmistakable, leading experts to believe that Neanderthals once practiced cannibalism, possibly as a means of survival during periods of extreme famine. However, some archaeologists have also proposed that these actions may have had religious or ritual significance, suggesting that cannibalism could have carried spiritual meaning, serving as a way to absorb the strength or spirit of the deceased. The practice of cannibalism was not unique to Goyet, but has also been documented in many other places across Europe, from Spain to France. Yet what was found in Belgium stands out for its scale and particular brutality, reflecting the fierce struggle for survival between humans and nature in prehistoric times. Over tens of thousands of years, the traces left behind in Goyet's caves have gradually helped scientists reveal part of the truth about the harsh lives of the Neanderthals, a world where the boundaries between survival, ritual, and the darkness of humanity became more blurred than ever before. The mysterious megaliths of Siberia. Beneath the eternal permafrost and endless forests of Siberia, explorers have uncovered a mystery that has stunned the world. Here, in a region almost untouched by human presence, enormous megalithic stones rise like ancient walls amid the wild landscape. What has astonished experts most is their size, far beyond anything imaginable by modern standards. Each stone measures up to 18 meters in length, 6 meters in height, and weighs hundreds of tons, stacked in layers as if arranged by the hand of a giant. No one can explain how ancient people, with only primitive tools, could have transported and erected such massive stones in the heart of these rugged mountains. As the research team, led by explorer Georgy Sidorov, approached, they became even more amazed by the details visible on the surfaces of the stones. In the dim light of the deep forest, the megaliths revealed smooth, flat faces, sharply defined right angles, and edges that had been perfectly cut. Some stones bore long, straight incisions and razor-sharp corners, features rarely seen in nature. The sight called to mind brick walls laid by modern masons, except that each brick was dozens of times larger than any building material used by humans today. Yet the mystery does not end there. Even during their first days of surveying, the team noticed that their compasses began to behave strangely, swinging wildly and refusing to point toward the megaliths as expected. It was as if an invisible energy source emanated from deep within the massive stones, strongly affecting the magnetic needles. In addition, many of the rocks bore signs of scorching and deformation, as if they had once been subjected to an intense heat that only modern atomic explosions could produce. These unusual marks have led scientists to wonder whether a form of technology once existed here that far surpassed our current understanding. Faced with such persistent mysteries, researchers have divided into 2 opposing camps. Some mainstream scientists maintain that all of these phenomena are simply the result of natural geological processes, similar to unique rock formations found in West Virginia or the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland. However, an increasing number of experts, archaeologists, and explorers insist that the Siberian megaliths cannot be the product of nature alone. They believe these stones are evidence of an ancient civilization that once possessed construction skills and technology far beyond the reach of modern humanity, possibly the legacy of giants or an advanced race that disappeared without a trace, leaving behind only these monumental stones amid the icy Siberian wilderness. Whatever the answer may be, the enigma of the Siberian megaliths continues to challenge the limits of human understanding and drives explorers to keep searching for the ultimate explanation behind one of the strangest stories of the ancient world. The mystery of Flight 19. In December 1945, just after the end of World War II, a chilling event occurred in the skies over the southeastern United States. 5 Avenger bombers departed from the naval base at Fort Lauderdale, Florida, embarking on a routine training mission over the vast stretch of ocean between Florida and Puerto Rico. But only a few hours after takeoff, the entire formation and all crew members vanished without a trace while flying through the area known as the Bermuda Triangle. The strangeness did not end there. When a search and rescue team was immediately dispatched, a seaplane carrying 13 crew members also disappeared without a trace over the open sea. For days, the search efforts yielded no results. All evidence of the 27 people vanished completely. There were no distress signals, no debris was ever found, and a mysterious atmosphere has shrouded this stretch of ocean for decades. This event shocked the world and sparked a wave of extraordinary theories. Many believed the planes had fallen into a space vortex or been drawn into another dimension. Others spoke of UFOs or some supernatural force guarding these waters. The Bermuda Triangle, already infamous for unexplained disappearances, now became a true legend in the public imagination. Although aviation and naval experts have repeatedly offered explanations involving severe weather conditions, navigational errors, or mechanical failure, the mystery of Flight 19 has never been fully solved. The story of 27 people who disappeared forever into the cold ocean has inspired countless movies, books, and conspiracy theories. Even today, the Bermuda Triangle remains one of the world's most mysterious regions, where every reasonable explanation seems powerless before the enduring allure of the unexplained. The ancient Greeks and their beliefs about the moon. Long ago in ancient Greece, when night fell and the full moon shone brightly in the sky, people would look up and believe that the moon was the embodiment of a powerful deity. Mysterious legends and myths always surrounded that silvery light, leading everyone to think that the face on the moon was truly the visage of a god watching over humankind. Yet, among the thousands who believed this, there was one man who dared to deny it all. He was Anaxagoras, the first philosopher in history to question the sacred nature of the moon. Anaxagoras did not believe that the moon was a god. With keen intellect and an unyielding desire for truth, he observed the sky and came to a conclusion completely different from the beliefs of his time. He argued that the moon was nothing more than a gigantic, cold rock floating in space, and that the light we see each night is simply sunlight reflected from its surface. Not stopping there, Anaxagoras proposed that the moon's surface was marked by mountains and deep craters just like the Earth, and he explained the phenomena of crescent and full moons, as well as solar and lunar eclipses, entirely through natural laws. This bold discovery was not welcomed. In fact, it made Anaxagoras a thorn in the side of religious leaders and the authorities of Athens. At that time, society placed absolute faith in the gods, and anyone who challenged this belief was seen as blasphemous. When Anaxagoras publicly explained his views about the moon and the sun, he was charged with impiety and sentenced to death. Fortunately, thanks to the intervention of a powerful friend, his punishment was commuted to exile in a distant land, sparing his life. The story of Anaxagoras is not only a landmark in humanity's quest to understand the natural world, but also a clear testament to the struggle between rational thought and superstition. It shows that in ancient societies, those who dared to think differently and speak the truth were often isolated or cast out. Despite being exiled, Anaxagoras inspired future generations to continue questioning the world around them and to relentlessly seek answers to the mysteries of the universe. Through his story, we see that sometimes the price of progress is the sacrifice of pioneers willing to confront long-held beliefs and traditions. Stone Age textiles. Around 9,000 years ago, in what is now Turkey, the city of Çatalhöyük was home to about 10,000 people and is considered the largest city of the Neolithic era anywhere in the world. In 1962, when archaeologists excavated the site, they discovered a remarkably ancient piece of cloth. This find was not only surprising, but also sparked an ongoing debate about weaving techniques and the origins of the materials used to make clothing in prehistoric times. At first, experts questioned whether prehistoric people knew how to use wool or flax fibers for weaving. However, with advances in research, especially in 2017, scientist Bender Jorgensen re-examined the fabric and discovered that it was not woven from wool or flax, but rather from oak bark fibers, a material typically used to make rope or twine. What is truly remarkable is that these Stone Age inhabitants knew how to strip bark, process it into fibers, and then weave it into cloth for clothing, a sophisticated technique far beyond what was previously imagined possible for ancient people. This discovery not only demonstrates the creativity and technological progress of early weaving, but also shows that people of that era made intelligent and flexible use of natural resources. They transformed tree bark into soft fabric, which they wore in the most populous city of the Stone Age, long before civilizations such as Babylon or Egypt emerged. The discovery of bark fiber textiles at Çatalhöyük stands as clear evidence of the ingenuity, intelligence, and extraordinary adaptability of our ancestors from the very dawn of human history. The classic inventions of the ancient Greeks have always been renowned for their great achievements in philosophy, art, and their brilliant civilization. However, few people know that they were also pioneers in technology and applied science. Alongside distinguished philosophers and eminent poets, the Greeks were creative engineers who produced a series of inventions that continue to influence daily life even today. One notable invention is the water clock, also known as the clepsydra. Unlike the traditional sundial, which was limited by weather and sunlight, the clepsydra was a type of mechanical clock that operated using a steady flow of water passing through gears and a time indicator. This water clock was used not only for measuring time in daily life, but also found special applications in places such as courts, where it helped to precisely time the length of each side's arguments, ensuring fairness in legal proceedings. Remarkably, even brothels in ancient Athens used the clepsydra to transparently regulate the time allotted for each customer. In addition, the Greeks invented the odometer, a device for measuring distances traveled, which was later adopted and further developed by the Romans as an indispensable tool in road construction. The ancient odometer was a large wheel attached to a chariot or cart. With each rotation, it recorded a set distance, allowing engineers to measure and build roads with greater accuracy. Inventions like the clepsydra and odometer are clear evidence of the complexity, precision, and advanced technical thinking of the ancient Greeks. Not only were they thinkers, but they were also trailblazers in science and technology, laying the foundation for many of humanity's important inventions that would come in later eras. The hypothesis of a pre-human advanced species, a bold and controversial hypothesis, has been put forward by scientists at NASA and the University of Rochester, raising profound questions about the true origins of civilization on Earth. They suggest that it is entirely possible an advanced pre-human species once existed on this planet, with technology that rivaled or even surpassed that of modern humans, appearing here millions of years ago. What is particularly intriguing is that this idea is not merely a product of imagination, but is based on scientific arguments about the patterns of rise and disappearance of civilizations. Astrophysicist Adam Frank has emphasized that if modern human civilization were to disappear within just a few million years, all traces of it would vanish completely, making it nearly impossible to detect that an advanced industrial society ever existed. In the grand scale of history, humanity has only been industrial for about 300 years, while complex life on Earth has existed for hundreds of millions of years. Given such a long time span, it cannot be ruled out that a highly intelligent species once developed built cities, and created technological systems only to vanish due to a natural disaster or as a result of their own impact on the environment. If this did indeed occur, all material evidence, cities, machinery, engineering works would be destroyed by geological processes, erosion, volcanic activity, ice ages, and other major upheavals. Therefore, if such a prehistoric civilization once existed, today it would be extremely difficult to find even the smallest trace of it. The hypothesis of a pre-human advanced species not only challenges our view of Earth's history, but also raises major questions about the future and fate of humanity itself. Are we truly the only civilization ever to arise on this planet? Or are we merely one chapter among countless unknown stories in the vast history of the universe? The Babylonian stele of Shamash. Amid the ancient ruins of the city of Sippar, archaeologists discovered an invaluable artifact, a more than 3,000-year-old clay stele, known as the Babylonian stele of Shamash. This stele is not merely a physical relic, but a living record that captures every breath of faith, every religious rule, and the spiritual life of the ancient Babylonians. Meticulously carved onto its surface is the image of the sun god Shamash, wearing a horned crown, seated in majesty alongside symbols of the sun and moon. Surrounding him are lines of cuneiform script describing rituals, rules for priests, and even regulations for clothing to be worn in the temple. The stele not only preserves these sacred laws, but also reflects the solemnity and advanced level of social organization among the peoples of Mesopotamia at that time. What is particularly remarkable is that the stele was once carefully hidden inside a clay box, buried deep beneath the temple floor as a sacred treasure, meant to protect it from the ravages of time and humanity. Only when archaeologists uncovered it did the modern world have the opportunity to witness a fragment of the intellectual and spiritual legacy of the Babylonians, who built one of the most brilliant civilizations of the ancient Middle East. The existence of the Shamash stele stands as clear evidence of a strong religious consciousness, a high level of civilization, and the deep importance placed on law, order, and sanctity in the community life of Mesopotamian society millennia ago. Gazing upon this stele, we can imagine a world where religion, law, and art merged into a civilization full of mystery and fascination. If you found these mysterious stories interesting, please leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our next discoveries. See you in the next video.